Díhuit Carja agus Fáilte. So in this one we're going to be talking about the new Ireland soccer manager. One of my first soccer kind of team videos, I think. Heimir Hallgrímsson. So I've got a couple of notes here. We're going to try and do our best to explain why I think we can be excited about him as the new manager. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first reason is fairly simple. His work at Iceland. Now, obviously, he ended up in a Qatari club afterwards and the Jamaican national team. I think the Jamaican national team was his last job. But yeah, I mainly want to talk about his work at Iceland. So obviously, he was joint manager with another Icelandic person, and they had that famous Euro 2016 where they beat England and got to the Euro quarterfinals. And then obviously they managed to sustain it and got to the World Cup in 2018, which is even more impressive because as a Europe, it's obviously more hard to get to the World Cup as a European team than it is to get to the Euros even in the first place. Now, getting to the Euros with Iceland was even an achievement, but so the reason that excites me is if you look at that Icelandic pool of players from 2016 to 2018 compared to what Ireland has now, I think it's incomparable. Even if you compared, I think this is the thing that excites me on a baseline level is that I think this is the strongest squad that Heimir has ever inherited. And if he was able to do what he did with those Icelandic pool players, imagine what he can do with ours now. And I know that some people might be screaming at the camera saying, what are you on about now? Our pool of players isn't very good. I think our pool of players is very underrated. I think it's the best it's been in a long time. I think to the likes of Caoimhín Kelleher, he looks just as good as Alisson Becker whenever he comes into the Liverpool side. Well, maybe that's a bit fair, but he looks elite. He was a big part of Liverpool's title challenge last year. You go to in defence, we've got absolute strength in numbers, Premier League quality, and League One quality. You've got Jake O'Brien. Darragh O'Shea was one of Burnley's best players last year. I know they got relegated. Nathan Collins, who's going to start between Collins and O'Brien, who's going to start between O'Brien and Collins. They're both kind of similar, but is Heimir going to play a back four? Who knows? But you've got Liam Scales just won the title with Celtic. Like, a lot of quality in that defence. We're maybe a little bit lacking at left wing back at the moment. Right back as well. Festio Baselli is coming up. I mean, he looks pretty good. Obviously Seamus Coleman and Doherty are getting out of it. Then you go to midfield, Josh Cullen, one of the best Burnley's best players last season, especially towards the end of the year. He really kind of stepped up. I think to the likes of Smallbone, one of the probably Southampton's best player last year as they got promoted to the Premier League. And there's obviously talent coming up as well. As we go to the forwards, it gets really exciting. Adam Ida just had an absolutely brilliant loan spell at Celtic. Troy Parrott got his move to AZ Alkmaar after a great year. Evan Ferguson, obviously he didn't have the year he would have wanted last season, but he still is an elite talent in my view. And there's still lots of talent. Like, I could probably make a separate video on the young players coming up, but I don't want to overhype young players just yet, but that's just a little taste of the squad that Heimir is inheriting. I think it's a lot stronger than people like to lead on. Chidozie Agbeni is another example. So yeah, that's one thing. So basically, in conclusion, if he can do what he did with that Icelandic pool of players, I think it's very exciting what he can do with this I think strong Irish pool. But anyway, let's get on to reason number. So Cúchadó, reason number 2 that excites me is his passion for the League of Ireland. He's been attending matches and he's even coming up with new ideas to try and enrich the league. Listen, once again, I could probably make a video on its own about the League of Ireland and its importance and how I think it's neglected by Irish football fans, but his passion for the League of Ireland is already clear. He's attended European games and League of Ireland normal games with under-21 manager Jim Crawford. And I think that's just a great sign that he's showing an interest in the league. He's maybe pinpointing a few players that he might want to call up if there's an extra slot in the squad or whatever. I think really fair play to him. And he also drove down to Waterford, I think, recently to speak with John O'Shea, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, like, I think that's a really exciting sign when he is showing such passion for the League of Ireland, because perhaps it might bring new eyes to football fans as well. Stephen Kenny, for someone who came from the League of Ireland, never really showed this kind of passion for it. In all fairness, I think this idea of winter games where he's going to do a League of Ireland squad. I believe some Scandinavian teams do that, where they do a full Danish or full Swedish or whatever squad, and it seems to help them a lot. Like, it would be brilliant if we could get to a level with the league where we could call up players, and bring them into the squad, and they were actually good enough, and we weren't just doing it for the sake of it. I think that'd be brilliant, So no, I think Heimir's passion for the League of Ireland in his early days, and this idea of inheriting the players into the squad, really excites me, and I think it's something that we should all be excited about, and hopefully it brings new eyes to the league. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go on to the third reason. So the third reason is he actually, and this is going to be fairly brief, but he learned the national anthem of Jamaica when he was Jamaican manager, which I think is just, listen, some would say it's a small thing, but I think it's really impressive, You look at a lot of Irish matches today, and half of our players don't even bother their arse to learn the anthem or even try to sing it, So I think if he could do the same with Iran Naveen, it really would make him a fan favourite amongst the Lansdowne Roar, amongst the Irish fans, because it is a nice touch, like, to learn the anthem, and I just think I really hope that he does learn it off, and he encourages as well. I would hope he encourages the players to learn it, because it is an important thing at the end of the day, for any national side, that you kind of know the anthem off by heart, and that you at least make an effort to sing it if you're going to represent that country. Like, you probably should have an idea of the culture and the background and history and stuff like that, and that's what anthems always represent. So I think that's a really encouraging thing. Not only if Heimer's able to sing it himself, but maybe he'll encourage more players to sing it. We just watched the Euros there, and I found that the best teams in the Euros were usually the ones, you could tell the most passionate kind of teams were the ones who knew their anthems. Now, I know Spain is an exception to that rule, but I don't think Spain actually has any words in their anthem. I think it's just a musical thing. But yeah, you could tell when teams were singing their anthem out in full force, you were in for a good game and in for a team that would really be willing to die for the badge, and etc. etc. So yeah, I think that's a really exciting element of Heimir, and hopefully now he hopefully he encourages everyone to do that. Right, we'll get on to reason number 4, and the final reason as to why I'm excited for Heimir Hallgrímsson. So my last reason is you could say 4 and 5, because I've got a few things crammed into one here, but I don't think it's enough to do separate, so we're going to call it 4. Is he really looks like a leader. I think early on you can tell from his press conferences, he's the way he kind of speaks, he's well able to speak English, and the way he carries himself, I really think he immediately looks like someone that I think the lads will want to kind of run through a brick wall for, and that's what you always want in a manager. They say, manager and coach is a different role almost. Manager is there's such thing as man manager, and a man manager is someone who they kind of motivate you and they encourage you, and they willing to run through a brick wall for you. Whereas the coach starts out tactics and that side of the game. And I think Heimer, the way he's carrying himself so far in interviews and in things like that, it's really, honestly, and look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I don't think it's going to be hard for him to have this much of an impact, but there is shades of Jack Charlton off him, I think, in the way he's carrying himself in interviews and the way he's kind of going about his business. So, also, I think there's something to be said for the foreign element. Typically Ireland have gone for foreign coaches in the past. Obviously, I mentioned Jack Charlton, and Trapattoni and people like that, and it tends to work for us. Trapattoni, I know it was a dull style of football, but at the end of the day, he got us to Euros. That is a big achievement for us in this day and age. Obviously, Jack Charlton was probably our best manager of all time. So, yeah, I do believe that the fact that he's an outsider, as the Bull McCabe would say, I think that helps. I think that is something that he might be a little bit more objective. He's not going to have as much favourites potentially. I don't know what it is about foreign managers that they do so well, but it is proven that they have been effective for us. So I think for those kind of two reasons, he looks like a leader. He's given me three reasons. He's given me shades of Jack Charlton, and the foreign element, I think, is why Heimir Hallgrímsson really does excite me. If I had to give a reason number 5, if you put a gun to my head, I would probably say that he's a dentist and he can help the lads out to look more fresh in the pitch. I don't know, but look, without further ado, lads, thanks very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you agreed, let me know in the comments. If you have any disagreements with what I said, also feel free to let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Alternatively, if you didn't enjoy, there's a dislike button there as well for you to use. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you again, and good luck, God bless. Slán.